Welcome back. This is the show where we cut through the noise, politics, and talking points and deal in reality. And today, you know we were coming back to this. We are talking about Spirit Airlines, and more specifically, why everybody keeps asking the wrong questions. I keep seeing people online saying, why won't Donald Trump step in? Why isn't the government saving them? And let me say this clearly. That's the wrong question. The real question is, why should they be saved at all? Let's start with the facts. Spirit Airlines isn't some random struggling company that just hit hard times. No, not at all. They built their entire business on one thing: being cheaper than everybody else. And they did that by stripping everything down. No frills, no extras. You pay for everything. Bags, seats, even basic comfort. And they called this an ultra low cost model. And to be fair, it worked for a while. But here's the part that people ignore. That model only works under perfect economic conditions. So here is where reality kicks in and Fantasyland has to take a backseat. That ultra cheap model depends on several things, okay? Low fuel costs, cheap labor, high passenger volume, and customers that are willing to tolerate the Spirit experience. Now look, fuel is volatile. Labor is expensive. Passengers are less tolerant than ever. People don't just want cheap anymore. They want reliability. And that is where Spirit has been getting crushed. This did not happen overnight. This has been a powder keg that has been building over years. So when people act like this is some sudden crisis, no, go back and check the record books. This is a result of a long-term business decision that was ultimately a failure. So let's take a minute and talk about what everybody really wants: the bailout, okay? Because anytime a company struggles, people start saying the government should step in. You already know my position on government, right? They're already in enough. And now we're asking again, or at least certain folks are asking, the government to take precious tax dollars and put them where they want them. And now they want us to bail out Spirit, just like they did GM and all of these other places. And I find it very ironic because when this conversation came up in the previous administration, the conversation itself did not go well. So let's be honest about what this means. Again, I say it, taxpayer money. That's what it means. It means you, somebody that doesn't even fly Spirit Airlines, let's say, you, the general John Q. public, are paying to keep a business alive that could not sustain itself. Okay, so here's the uncomfortable truth. Bailouts never, ever, ever fix business models that are broken. All it does is delay failure. The funny thing is, your left folks, your leftists are angry that this Republican president did not entertain this. Well, truth shot people, ladies, gentlemen, neither did Biden. In fact, they blocked the merger with JetBlue and said, whatever reason, oh, you can't do this. Well, if JetBlue wanted to absorb that hit, that's on JetBlue, private industry. Why not? They weren't creating a monopoly with less than 8% of the market. So my question is, for every single person that wants to talk about Argentina and everywhere else, why didn't Joe Biden's administration fix this mess? Tell me that. Put it in the comments. I gotta hear why. Anyway, let's move on a little bit. We saw during COVID, Airlines got support because the entire world was shut down, but it was across the board, and I understand that. I flew during COVID. You should never fly to Orlando, Florida in the middle of May and it be 12 people on a jumbo jet. That should never happen. But they needed the help then, and the help went across the board. It was an external shock. This is different. Holy crap. This internal weakness would have collapsed the world. So they helped them. And I get that. But those situations are not the same as what Spirit is going through. And let's go back and give another Trump reality check. Let's deal with the political angle. People keep saying Trump would save them, but let's think about that for a second. Donald Trump is pro-business, always has been. He's also about leverage, strength, and the win. There's a difference between supporting business and rescuing weak models. This right here is rescuing a business model that is doomed to fail. And don't get me wrong, I think Frontier and some of these other places are on the cusp of that. However, they don't have the overhead that Spirit had, and they've been able to control growth. Again, something that the business model for Spirit never took into account. It never took it. I'm not going to say that they didn't take it. They grew too fast, and they just couldn't sustain where they were. Let's just say that. I don't want to get into something that I don't have actual facts on. So, no administration, Trump, Joe Biden, or anybody else wants to throw $1 billion at a company that can't remain competitive. That's just what it is. Because once you do that, you set a precedent. And for y'all that don't understand how important setting precedents is, it shapes the future of business. And if you don't set it correctly, you end up spending billions, if not trillions, of taxpayer dollars into failing enterprise. Now, every failing company expects the same treatment, and that is not how capitalism works. Some of y'all out there want the government to control everything because you don't want to work. Now, I'm sorry if that offended you, but the reality is you cannot distort an entire market based on the Russia concept of I control everything in the United States of America. So what happens next? Here are the real possibilities. There is a possibility that they could pop back with bankruptcy restructuring, cutting routes, downsizes, or being absorbed by another competitor. That's actually how the market works. But to be truthful with you, even if they pop back at this point, who's going to trust them? I'm waiting on the left to comment. Hold on one second. Yeah. Make sure you drop those, whatever you got to say in the comments, because I could definitely rebut those. Yeah, nobody's going to trust them at this point. You shut down and stranded hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah, okay. So strong companies adapt. Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, U.S. Air, when they were there, they were an adapting company. Unfortunately, they got picked up by Delta because they adapted. Weak ones either evolve or disappear. And whether people like it or not, that process matters because it keeps the system honest. So there's the part that people don't want to hear. Spirit Airlines, they ain't a victim. I mean, if they are a victim, they're a victim of their own process. And it's a company they made a bet. They made a bet. It's like they went into Las Vegas, put everything on the black, and everything popped red on the roulette wheel. I mean, the bet didn't pay off. I mean, it just is what it is. No president, not Trump, not Biden, should force taxpayers to clean up somebody's bad debt. No. We shouldn't. Because if your business only works when everything goes perfectly, it was never strong to begin with. That's like marrying somebody and everything is great while it's perfect, but as soon as somebody loses their job, you want a divorce. Yeah, okay. No, it just doesn't work that way. And the truth, nobody wants to say. If you agree, say it. If you disagree, argue with me. I don't have no problem with that. But either way, we're going to have the real conversation, and I'll see you in the next episode. Hey, y'all, don't forget to like, share, and drop your take in the comments, because this one right here, people are not going to agree on. And I might not agree with you, but at least let's put the argument out there for people to see the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.